Hi everybody, quick wreath making tutorial. We need to start with a hoop. This is a willow hoop. I make these and I buy in the willow from Somerset Willows because you get nice even lengths, but if you have willow in the garden or something like cornus, the red stem plant, or really anything that will twist nicely, you can make the hoops yourself. And I use this kind of thing rather than the moss bases because I think this is more resource efficient. So we start with the hoop, and then you need, this is called florist's reel wire, which you can get online, nice roll of it. And we start by securing the wire really firmly to the base, so several twists there, and then wrap it round. And I tend to go into the middle and out again. And what we're basically doing is securing bunches of greenery to the hoop. And you'll need between 9 and 12 bunches, and the bunches should be around 5 to 7 bits each, a nice full bunch. And what I aim for is something about a little bit bigger than the size of your hand. And the most important thing here is whatever size of bunch you start off with, you need to try and stay with, because if they get bigger or smaller, the whole thing will look really uneven and it's quite hard to correct afterwards. And for those of you who've got the kits, who'd normally be at the Stadhampton class, you won't have as much stuff as you'd normally have. So do cut it all up to start with. Cut your bits and make sure you'll have enough for the sort of 5 to 12 bunches of 5 to 7, however thick you want them. Obviously, the more in a bunch, the thicker it will be. And the more bunches you get around the hoop, the denser it will be, so you can experiment a bit with that. So the basic technique is simply to secure the bunches to the hoop with the wire about a third of their way along by bringing the wire round, and you want to pull it quite tightly, not so tightly that you risk breaking the wire, because sometimes this thin wire can be a bit fragile. But several wraps of the wire, catch the ends in so that that's nice and firm. And then the really important thing is bring the wire another couple of turns down the hoop, because that's where you're going to start the next one. Not right on top of this bunch, because then it would be really dense, but a little way down. So the aim with the next bunch then is to place it, so it's a little bit of the way down, but it covers the last set of wires. So your next one goes around there, grip it firmly, wrap the stems in nice and firmly, pull tight enough to get a little bit of a bite on it, and all the way down to the end of the stems and down a bit. So that's the kind of effect you get with, this is just Christmas tree, but there's a whole lot of other things you can use. So for instance, in this bunch here, I've got a bit of holly, although the holly I find can be a bit spiky and straight to weave in. Sometimes it's better, especially with the berries, to put it on later as decoration so they don't get buried. This is yew, which is also a bit sort of spikier and shaggier. It gives a looser effect. Bit of Leylandii from trimming our hedge. So there's a variety of greenery you can use, but you could see if I put that bunch on there, that would be a pretty uneven size. So you'd need a whole lot of that kind of size. So that's the basic technique, and in time-honoured fashion, here's one I started earlier and nearly completed. And the next important thing, when you've been round and got your, so maybe a dozen bits on, is to make sure you don't leave a gap, because you've got to fill in. That could look like it's finished, but it's not. You need another bunch there, really. So get that one on there and tie in. And then to fasten off, you need to cut the wire, give a bit of a length of wire, and fasten it off by just taking it underneath the previous bit and pulling nice and tightly. And one of the things we've discovered doing the classes all these years is where you start and finish isn't necessarily the top or bottom. It's quite important to hold it up or have someone else hold it up to see what feels like the top or bottom in terms of where you might want to put ribbons or decorations. But I'm going to do a separate one on the decorations. So that's the basic greenery technique.